And lately I've been on
We
that
got
juice.
London on the track.
Me a chick, I got a chick. Yeah, I done got me a chick, I got a chick. Yeah, I done got me a chick, I got a chick. Yeah, I done got me a chick, I got a chick.
Young Thug is the long-term working name for Jeffrey Lamar Williams Jr., although he has recently transitioned to calling himself Sex with capital letters. He is an American rapper originally from Atlanta. His career started in 2010, and he has released 3 studio albums. He's known for an unusual rapping style and an unusual dress sense, and he has been described as defying gender stereotypes and agitating the way hip-hop defines black masculinity. Hi, my name's Dan. So this was the first album by Young Thug, and it's been labelled as a mixtape. So that apparently doesn't mean what I think of as mixtapes from, when you put together songs from various different people on a cassette. Um, Apparently it means something different, and the thing that I picked up was that it's like an album project, but it's more laid back. I don't really understand that. So if anybody can enlighten me, please do so by leaving me a comment. This is my first encounter with him and so therefore with this album. And I would describe this as being hip hop with rap, but also a fair amount of singing. And he transitions between singing and rapping quite a bit. Um, Generally, when I'm talking about rap albums, the things that I focus on, which I am going to do this time again, are the musical backing, the flow, and the content, and sometimes the language that's being used. So let's talk about the musical backing here. So there's deep electronic bass, there's airy electronic pads, there's electronic drums that sound slowed down. And there's a little bit of kind of coming in and out, which is like modern R&B in a lot of ways. Um, the actual overall aesthetic of the backing music, I actually enjoyed more than I expected to, or more than I usually do with this kind of thing. It uses the stereo image well, and I think this is really down to the other elements of the musical backing. So there are things like strings and choirs, and actually, it's got recognisable chord sequences going on, which is maybe that was something that helped me there. The overall feeling is quite kind of laconic and laid back. Right, so there's rapping and singing. With the singing, there's quite a lot of auto tune. Again, I have said many times that I can be quite negative about auto tune. It's not done badly here. I think it felt more acceptable in context somehow. There's quite a lot of guests in here as well on various tracks. So his style of rapping, and I believe the word flow is the word that I need to use, has been commented on as being unusual, and I guess that's true. It's kind of, well, he's got various different styles, so it's kind of staccato at times. It's often fragmented. He often does kind of 2 syllables and then a gap. So did it, did it, did it. Here I am talking about, and like that, and it's kind of on the beats. It's very kind of tied up with the beats. There are other times when it's very, very fast and put together. There are times when his kind of sounds half asleep. There's times when it sounds slurred, as if he might be under the influence of something. And so I'm going to weirdly compare him with a jazz pianist called Thelonious Monk. So Thelonious Monk kind of broke the conventions of piano playing in interesting ways, and particularly with stuff about timing. And I feel like Young Thug's doing the same. He's doing some interesting things with the timing. Um, uh, so the overall aesthetic between the backing and the rapping and the singing surprised me that I felt that I actually could enjoy it, and I think some of this is as I said, the nature of the sounds that are used in the backing and the spaciousness with it, and you know, occasionally thinking, "Oh, that's quite nice." I think also the rhythmic nature of the rapping and the flow that he uses was something that I found that if I wasn't focusing on the words, the overall aesthetic was something that I quite enjoyed. Quite is being, relative. Now we're going to get onto the words, and this is why it's got such a low score really here. So the language is very, very right here. There's lots of shortenings of stuff, making it hard to make out. There are bits that I recognise. There were bits of, sentences that I could just about put together. He does tend to mumble at times, as I say. He can sound drunk. I've got an example here. Is that I'm not gonna be able to render it exactly as he did it, but something like ash, ash, dust, dust, which is ashes to ashes, dust to dust. And he is. There are a lot of times when the words where there are several syllables he's left in just on the first syllable. The track that is apparently the best known single from this is called Check, which I probably have put snatched from at the beginning of the album. Sorry, at the beginning of the review. The word check, I think, is shech or shish or something like that, is the way that that's been given to us. So there's a lot of things where it could be difficult to work out what he's singing. So it is quite hard to understand parts. When I do, I feel like I'd rather not. The content seems to be, and I have to emphasize, seems to be, and I might be doing him a disservice because I just don't understand enough of it, but it seems to be explicit and boastful sex stuff with not a great attitude to women. Stuff about drug use, stuff about violence, reference to gang stuff, and then the occasional bit of religious text in there. Just not a lot of that. So maybe I'm missing the kind of subtleties and the context here. Maybe if I understood that, I would respond better to it. But I don't. And I do say it's going to be hard, I think, for me to find bits to put on the start and the end of this review, because obviously I want to stay clear of. Well, obviously, I I have words that I'm not going to use on this channel. They're not words I necessarily find difficult in real life. Some of them are, but words starting with P, B, F, M, and N, and others, and the ones that have misogynistic and race connotations are the ones that I probably find hardest to deal with. But I feel the need to be clean on this channel, so I'm going to do that. Uh, but this means that not only am I going to try and avoid these words, but I'm also going to try and avoid bits that I don't understand because I don't know if they're, what they're about, what's actually being said. So, uh, in summary, I would say if it's in a language that I didn't understand at all, I might actually quite like it. If it was in German or French or Spanish or something like that, I might be fine with it because the aesthetic of it I quite enjoyed. Well, the content of it is something that I felt was foul. Um, and also interestingly, given the comment that I found about his dress sense and how he's breaking the norms, I felt that I would have liked maybe if he was less stereotypical with his language and his content for a rapper. So that's what I think of this album. I was not impressed. As always, I'd love to invite you to tell me what you think of this album, so please do. And that's it from me for now.
Nigga, have you ever dreamed I was the man and you a thing? 1 and 2. Anytime I get mad, I can goodbye to you. Goddamn, who the hell let rats in the house? King of lions, who let the cats right out of the house? Houston, Texas, when I'm on land, I lean back.